Forbes Books presents Sustainable Leadership and Disruptive Growth with David Radlow. Transformation for a new and better world. Here's David.
Thanks for joining me once again for my conversation with Erik Anderson, the CEO of SIQ Basketball. We've been talking about how his company is disrupting the sports industry with a smart basketball that allows users to access metrics and advanced analytics with a simple tap of their smartphone. Erik, you have a third-party validation after your ball was approved for play by the International Basketball Federation. How important was it, and how did you make that happen?
Partnerships are crucial for us. We need to create authority that we are a real basketball. Being FIBA approved has been game changing for when we're talking to coaches, when we're talking to players, when we're just casually talking to fans of the product. Also, incredibly important when we're talking to investors. We're working on a few more partnerships at the moment that will be significant, just as significant. But this adds credibility that we're a legitimate game basketball. We've gone through all the testing. And it's actually just really impressive that the founder, Hari, was able to do this with such an early stage product.
Can you share the early stage test markets look like when you're sitting there developing all the different swish ratios and shot ratios and all these different things? Have you tied it in to what the customer is really looking for and what really resonates?
Yeah, so we've talked to countless players, we've talked to countless users, we've talked to people who haven't used the product. We see the real opportunity is very specific metrics, like improving your shooting speed, working on your release angle, rotations per shot or second is another thing we provide. So we've really been developing the product with let's provide basic data to the end user. Let's not overwhelm them with too much personalization at this point. Let's be a tool that a shooting coach can use in real time to make their player better. Let's be a tool that a kid in their backyard can count how many shots, makes, misses they've taken in the last hour. Where we're going to take the product is a lot more towards that personalization, but we're so early, we're so young, we need to do a lot more research in what the customer actually wants. But right now we're seeing that the customer just loves having this data at their fingerprints. For example, if I went for a run, I would make sure my Apple Watch is on and I would be tracking how many miles I did. If I go to a workout at the gym, I would have my Apple Watch on. I see a world where people won't train unless they have their SIQ basketball on and they can track all of their shots. To just take one step further in your question, we've recently launched a leaderboard. So whether it's amongst your friends, your teammates, or the entire world, you can now see where you're ranking in terms of shots taken, shots made. And we're really working on building out that leaderboard so people can see specific metrics and how they rank to people their age or people in their area. And a step further from that is we've started doing competitions. And we're seeing usage just jump when we launch a contest and say, hey, the prize is bragging rights. We're seeing people like grown men slide into each other's Instagram DMs and talk trash about, hey, why don't you take your shots from a little bit further away? And it's really funny to see what people are using the app for and how they train with it and the feedback we get through customer support or customer surveys. And we're going to take all of that data and just continue to improve the product.
The invention leads people down a path of increasing measurable results that can be applied elsewhere. Do you see any extra performance and health benefits? People become more efficient and effective in this feedback. You mentioned the Apple Watch earlier. Do you see an ability to have a synergistic way where they're having more fun, they're better at it, and they're also improving your health?
Absolutely. We have actually done some early tests with developing an app for the Apple Watch that the basketball would connect directly to the watch, which makes the Bluetooth connection stronger, just because there's less distance being traveled between the basketball and your phone or a tablet. One of the features we're exploring in that is the heart rate while you're playing. And so we can actually tell you while your heart rate is increased while you're training, what your stats are. So that can be applied directly to gameplay. And you're not just shooting casually in your backyard with a heart rate at 80 beats per minute. you're actually training with a heart rate much closer to that while you're in a game. And so we're definitely seeing, just being able to look at that data and show tangible improvements in real life scenarios. But we're also able to look at how much more focused you are while you train. Because you could be in the gym for 2 or 3 hours just shooting casually, or you could be in the gym for 45 to 60 minutes training with specific goals in mind. And I would argue, and I believe most coaches would argue, that training for 45 to 60 minutes with intention is better than just being in the gym for 3 hours. And then when someone is actually there with a notepad marking your makes and misses, or in our case with an app saying this is how many shots you've made versus how many shots you've missed, it really makes a difference in how you focus while you train.
Because it's basketball and there's great opportunities to take the analytics to the street, although you're a little bit early, are there any plans of testing out giving back to underserved communities and having them have an opportunity to use this basketball to improve their play?
No, David, that's a great question. Something that's really important to us. We actually just started a partnership with Chicago Parks and Rec, where we sent basketballs to all of the local gyms in one area of Chicago. I think it was about 50 basketballs. We trained every person who manages those gyms on how to use the technology. There was another program within Chicago Parks and Rec that provided iPads to each of the gyms. So if the kids had an older phone or didn't have a phone, they could always have access to an iPad to use the basketball. From there, the organizer of this partnership on their end was using SIQ to actually pique an interest in STEM. So whether it was computer science or just developing entrepreneurial ideas through engineering at a young age, or coding, this was a big part of using sports and technology to get kids interested in technology. And we just sent them some more basketballs. The organizers are loving it. And this is definitely something that we care about at a core level of the business, because we're trying to launch this at a consumer price point, because basketball should be available to everyone. We don't want this to be something that is overpriced or only attainable by wealthy children or athletes.
Okay, you're starting to sell, and you're obviously your post revenue, which is great. Can you share? Do you want to share? Whether or not you're going to need more funding runs to get you to break even street and beyond to accelerate?
No, we're a traditional basketball business. We will definitely need more money. We announced the round recently, but the first part of the round was completed last year. So we're already looking at what the next round looks like, tangible early targets that we can hit. We've been developing the technology on the hardware side and the software side. We're working on partnerships. We're definitely clarifying our business model. So we've made some pretty significant improvements to the business. And, as we're really going to market, really launching and gearing up for this holiday season, I believe we'll have the momentum to raise a nice round of investment and have a business model that's powerful enough to attract the right investors.
Your favorite life quote is from Confucius: "Endure adversity and enjoy prosperity." Tell me about the adversity you've endured in growing SIQ.
Yeah, I mean, it's a startup. So any win is followed quickly by what feels like a loss. When we launched this company the first time, or we did the soft launch of the company the first time, we realized that the people really want this product, but we need to build a QA process that can keep up with the American consumer and their wants and needs. Once we got that figured out, we couldn't get basketballs out of China. So it's great. Like, we're having another bottleneck here. When I joined SIQ, as I mentioned earlier, every gym in America was closed because of COVID. So we're just continuously trying to get over the next challenge. And I would say now our head's above water. We're at a place where we can really start to sell consistently, manufacture consistently, and that's going to open up a whole new set of challenges. I like to say that the first year I was with the company, we were kind of playing defense. We had a lot of things to figure out before we could scale. And now we've flipped the switch and now we're playing offense. and we get to figure out what marketing channels are going to work for us. And we get to, learn what product features we should continue to develop and which ones we should stop. Just simple things, even like we have a very international team, and sometimes we only have 2 or 3 hours to work together before someone has to go to bed or someone wakes up and we only have a little bit of time together. So there's just a lot of challenges with how our business is structured, but success is not unachievable.
Lastly, talk to me about your leadership journey. You shared how you pivoted from the world of venture capital into the C-suite. What have you learned in the last couple of years about yourself as a leader?
I'm a first-time CEO, but I've worked with a lot of CEOs, and I've seen what's made great CEOs great, and I've seen what's made bad CEOs bad. I've seen like a good CEO turn a bad company around, and I've seen a bad CEO drive a good company into the ground. What's really important for me is having all of these relationships with all of these previous startups is taking what I've learned and applying it to SIQ. Hopefully, as a first-time CEO, I won't say I know everything, but I can continue to learn, and opportunities like this really open up a lot for me.
Can you kindly tell us where to get more information on you and SIQ Basketball?
Yeah, so siqbasketball.com is our website. We're actually working on redesigning the website right now, so it's more of just a placeholder for people who have tried the basketball or heard about the basketball and want to order one. We're working on our brand messaging, our company messaging as we speak, getting it mainstream ready. There's various articles that we've published. We have a few more coming out that should be really educational for our customer. But if someone's really curious, by all means, reach out to any of us on LinkedIn, reach out to myself, reach out through customer service. We do prioritize having a person on the other end of the conversation. You won't reach an automated response. You'll reach a person, even if it takes us a couple days to get back to you. We really know that education in this specific vertical is going to be important, mainly because people have played basketball the same way for decades, if not coming on centuries. The real last innovation was probably making the basketball round. And now we're asking you to connect it to a phone. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to anyone on the team.
That's a great way to wrap it up. I want to thank you, Erik. We've gone from the flat world to the round world to the round basketball to now we have the SIQ basketball. That will give you a lot of information to make you better, more productive, and healthier. And I really appreciate your time in coming on this podcast, Erik.
No, thank you, David.
To connect with David, go to davidradlow.com. David's book set, The Principles of Cartel Disruption and Secret Stories of Leadership, Growth, and Innovation, are available wherever books are sold. This has been Sustainable Leadership and Disruptive Growth with David Radlow, a presentation of Forbes Books.